Good evening. How are you doing today? This is Reverend Sylvester Hampton. Once again, welcoming you to my channel, One Man of God Unfiltered. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As stated before, could you do the thumbs up, subscribe, and the notify button for me so that you'll be notified anytime I do anything else new. I got this next lesson that I want to dive into from my daughter. My daughter called me yesterday, and we were on the phone, and she talked about a friend of hers that are going to be getting married, and they are going to be doing what they call a destination wedding. A destination wedding, for those of you who do not know, it's a wedding that the bride and groom is going to perform their holy matrimonial wedding ceremony in another country, or either in a place that is a tourist place like Spain, England, Egypt, Mexico, those places like that. And sometimes they require you to have a passport. And I noticed that a lot of my daughter's friends are having these destination weddings, and I want to go into that. All that's well and good, but I think that what we're doing is that we are losing the purpose of a wedding in the first place. I think that we are more and more we are more putting more plans in the wedding and not thinking about the consequences after the wedding, because we all have to live after the wedding. The wedding will probably only a wedding party for anywhere from 3 to 4 days. And it's going to be celebrated, and if it's a destination wedding, you go to, let's say, Mexico. That means that you have everyone RSVP and let you know that they're coming, and they will have to pay for their hotel bill, and lots of times, depending on the how many in the party, the bride and groom's rooms are free, because it depends on how many people are in that party. So they have, and plus you have to go to the airport, get there. Now, a lot of us may or may not have passports. There are some of our relatives that never experienced going out of the country whatsoever, and so you are effectively cancel them out, and so they're not even there. They can't come because it requires a passport, and a passport can take anywhere from 12 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks to even get. So it's not anything that you can go downtown and get and put your application in and get a passport. It's not anything like that. It's a process. So I think that what we're doing is we're having all these destination weddings, and we're losing the idea of what a wedding is supposed to be about. A wedding is not it's not just uniting the bride and groom together. You're also uniting a family of the bride and of the groom. That ceremony is to unite two families together. Well, if you go and you have a destination wedding, you're going to be cutting out some of the family members. Now, I know some of you might say, hey, look, I don't want Uncle Jake to come to my wedding in the first place because he don't know how to act when he starts getting drunk. Okay, fine. But I'm saying that you are forgetting what there's so many things that we're not considering when we do have a destination wedding, and it's the cost. And my daughter was saying that she has a friend that paid $200,000 for her destination wedding, and I think that's a down south. That's a house. That's a house. Why in the world would you pay that kind of money when you can get a house? It's silly for you to pay that kind of money for a destination wedding, and you're going to leave your wedding and go to a place where you're renting. That doesn't make any sense. And men, we know that our future wives may want to do this Walt Disney type wedding and with all the bells and whistles and everything on, but you have to step in and put your foot down, because it only takes about 10 minutes. The ceremony only takes less than 10 minutes, and you're husband and wife. So everything all her debt becomes your debt. Okay, so she may have signed some paperwork to get this loan to get this destination wedding, unbeknownst to you, because traditionally the groomsman only has to show up with his tux. And he then there's no consideration. He don't have to worry about paying anything. But nowadays, it will come back on you, because once her debt will become your debt. Okay, so you have to go in and ask, what have you done? Because she's going to become your wife, and she's going to become your responsibility after those less than 10 minutes of you saying, once you say, all her debt is your debt. So if she had charged her destination wedding and those tickets on your on her credit card is going to become your credit card, and her debt is going to become your debt. So I think that, you need to get involved in this thing, and you need to cut it quick, because men are logical, women are not. And you're going to be getting into a marriage that doesn't make any sense, instant debt. And it doesn't make any sense for you to do that just starting off. And it doesn't make any sense. Men are logical. It has to make sense for us to spend our money. I'm telling you right now that once you say I do, her debt that she charged that wedding on, that all that fluff, is gonna be your responsibility. Okay, so you, as the man of the house, should intervene and say yes or no on this. Let me tell you something. Destination weddings are really for old folk like me. And say, for example, you have a man and woman who are elderly, and they have lost their spouses. Both spouses have died on, and they meet each other. So they don't have to worry about mom and dad anymore. So destination weddings is basically for them, so they can go on a vacation, because they have been saving all their lives. And so they break into their piggy bank, and they can afford to go to Cancun or something like that and have a destination wedding. That's who destination weddings are designed for. Not young couples that have family members there, their mom and dad and sisters and brothers. You're uniting that family together in holy matrimony, because that those two families become one family through you guys. Okay, so I think that we really have to understand what the whole purpose is. Now, say for example, most of these people want to just social media stuff. They want to keep up with the Joneses. So everybody wants to put their wedding pictures and everything on social media, so that you would have something to brag about with your girlfriends and everything. But that's silly, because after that date, all that debt will come on you, and you have to pay that. Okay? Mothers and fathers, it used to be that the the parents of the bride usually pay for the ceremony and everything. But they're getting so far fetched that it's not only that. So um, your parents probably can't afford to do all of all that stuff that you want to do. So you're going to leave them in the poorhouse? Not everybody had saved for their daughter's wedding. I always tell guys that when you have a little girl, start saving for her wedding when she's an infant. And then when she says, Dad, I'm ready to get married, you have put away some money in her savings account. It's called her wedding diary account. Okay. And when she gets to be that certain age, you would have saved some money up. That's what, some good information to go on. So if you have a daughter, make an account for her right then and there when she's newborn to save for her wedding account. So when she gets married, you have some money towards that wedding. Okay, but $200,000 is kind of much. That's a house. That's a house. Just to say that I was married in Cancun. Now, I will tell you that it makes sense. Why don't you can go have a wedding in your mom and daddy's backyard, and you can have the photographer put any kind of background you want on those photographs. You tell that photographer, I want a background like we had a marriage in Egypt, or Mexico, or on a mountaintop. Put our photographs on a mountaintop, and we had our wedding in Utah. So that's a lot cheaper than going to Utah or Las Vegas and everything. And your parents may not be in the position to do that, especially, when the COVID time came. A lot of senior parents, you're going to put them on a plane and to take their own health into consideration, and us older people can't fight off that COVID like the young people can. So you're going to put us in a position to go to a wedding in a destination wedding, and it's only going to take 10 minutes for the ceremony. Please, it's not worth it. Like I said, men are logical. Men think. And they plead the dollars and cents because it has to make sense, and it doesn't make any sense. You can tell that photographer you can have a wedding in your mom and daddy's backyard and have all your relatives bring a potluck, a covered dish for dinner. You know what I'm saying? Then everybody will be involved in it, just like they do in Thanksgiving. It's you can make a good thing. And you have two families together getting along with one another, and you wouldn't have to go in debt to pay for a wedding. Okay, now if you've been married for 50 years or something like that, and you want to on your 50th or 25-year anniversary, you want a destination wedding, then you can do that because parents may not be here. Okay. Then you're already married. So it's just you two going to get married, and that's it. It's not anything fancy. Your photographer can make your wedding, place it anywhere he wants. A good photographer could have you with a background in the middle of the practice field, or the Detroit Lions practice field. Y'all have y'all wedding in the middle of the practice of Detroit Lions football team, or either Detroit Pistons practice, basketball practice. He can put that on the background, so he can do anything. You ain't got to tell folk all this stuff. It doesn't make any sense to spend all that money and for just 1 or 2 days. You got to live afterwards. Another thing that we have to consider is that people get married for bragging rights. so that everybody trying to outdo each other. And it's not all that. The most important thing is your marriage. It's a marriage. And that's the most important thing. You as a man is bestowing the ultimate gift, or the ultimate title that you could bestow on a woman, and that is a wife. That is something to celebrate. It has nothing. The ceremony is just like I said. The wedding ceremony when y'all exchange vows, that's only less than 10 minutes. It doesn't make any sense for you to spend all that money for those 10 minutes. Okay, the most important thing is that you two are married, and have people give money to help you out in because you have to live afterwards. Okay, it just doesn't make any sense. I think that the men, your husbands, you need to get involved. And you need to see what your future wife is spending her money on and how she paying for it. You got to ask, because if you don't, you're going to be surprised that's in a couple of months after the marriage, you're going to be getting those bills. Okay, and you're gonna be paying. She's got a 5-year loan on a marriage that's silly. It's silly to take out a loan for 10 minutes of work. 10 minutes you're going to take out a loan for. We are taking marriage into a different realm. Marriage is a holy matrimony it's a covenant between a man and a woman before God. You're promising God that this person is going to, you're dedicating your life to this other person, okay? And wives, you are a helper to your new husband. You're his helper, okay? That's what God made women for, to be a helper to the man. The whole purpose for a woman is the man, okay? And he's bestowing on you the title of wife. That right there is the ultimate title, because wife, God says when you find a wife, you find a good thing, and you're a good thing. So he wants to bestow the title of wife upon you. And another thing, I saw this guy the other day, and I was talking to him, and he was talking to me and telling me that he had a fiance, that he was going to get married to his fiance, and I said, "Oh, really? Oh, good, congratulations." I said, "When's the marriage?" He says, "Well, I got to wait to see her aunt and her are supposed to be getting together, and it should be next year sometime." I said, "Really, next year?" I said, "How long have y'all been engaged?" He says, 3 years. I said, "You've been engaged for 3 years? What are you waiting for? You've been engaged. That's nothing to brag about. A man should know within 6 months if he wants to marry that woman or not. Well, within 3 months, whether he wants to bestow the title of marriage on it. And I could tell that he says his future wife and her aunt. That means that she didn't have a father in her life, or her father passed or something. I can tell you right now that a father is not going to allow a man to be messing around with his daughters for 3 years and not get married. A father is going to make sure that the vetting process is going to be there, and after the vetting process, marriage. Because I'm not going to have you waste my daughter's time and put her on the shelf for 3 years and say you're going to marry her. A whole lot of stuff can happen in 3 years. And tomorrow ain't promised to you. You can wait 3 years and only be married for that 1 year because you died. You dead after 6 months of marriage. That's silly. It don't take a man long enough. It doesn't take a man long to determine whether or not that's the right woman for him to be married, especially after the vetting process and everything. and God's blueprint to marriage. If you go through that, there's no reason why it should take all that long time. Okay, so all these long engagements is crazy. Let's see. It doesn't make any sense. I said it doesn't make any sense to send all that money for 1 to 3 days. It's silly. The solution to the answer to where your marriage is, get that photographer. He's the key. You just tell him to put any kind of background on your photos that you want. Hell, when I first got married, the man put me and my wife and I's picture in a champagne glass. So doggone well, if he can put it in a champagne glass, he can put it in a pyramid or something, saying that y'all got married in Egypt. So all that stuff is ridiculous to be going on a destination wedding, especially if this is your first wedding. You have to consider that you have a mom and daddy, sisters and brothers that has to come to the wedding, and you're married. You're uniting two families together. Okay. We have changed and forgot what marriage is all about. It's silly to spend all that money for 1 or 2 days. Okay. Like I said, men, her debt becomes your debt within less than 10 minutes of your marital ceremonies. Okay. So you better ask her. Her student debt is yours. Her loan that she took out to get married is yours. So it ain't gonna be just her parents are paying. They're gonna pay what they can pay, but naturally she wants a fantastic wedding, and she's gonna go overboard with it. Nah, you need to put your foot down, and you need to say what we're gonna do. Okay, it's silly. You could have it catered. You don't need to have a bunch of alcohol there, because if you got a Uncle Jojo and he don't know how to in moderation. Everybody's got a relative that, as long as the liquor there, and he's going to drink it to make sure that he gets his share of liquor in there, because he can't leave a bottle of liquor on the stove table without him indulging in it. He's gonna stay and stay and stay until it's all drunk, it's all gone, and then you have to worry about him getting out in the street and killing somebody. Okay, so I would not recommend alcohol at the wedding, because it's too much of a liability. Unless you go ahead and get one of those little mansions on the on the beach in Nag's Head or something like that. You guys get a big mansion where everybody can stay in it, and then y'all get up and have a wedding there, and it's on the beach and everything. So you can have that, and people, it doesn't require a passport. Everybody can meet at Nag's Head or wherever. You know what I mean? I want to remind you that marriage is a duty. It's a duty. And love has nothing to do with a marriage. It has love. When God says that you love your wife as Christ loved the church, that means that an unconditional agape love. It's not romantic love that he's talking about, okay? And if you're marrying a man of God, he knows that. So you're not going to be all lovey-dovey and peaches and cream all hours of the day. And most women think that that marriage, her husband has to jump through the hoops and make her feel like the very first day that they met, and all the whining and dining. You're going out to dinner every night and everything like that. Those days are over with. Those days are over with. Okay, you can do that every now and then, but you can't make a habit of that because you guys got to work. It's a team type thing. It's teamwork. It's a duty. Okay, and the man is going to determine how you're going to be his helper. Marriage is a duty. It's not, and it has nothing to do with emotion. It's a duty. And marriage through holy matrimony is how we bring children into the world, which is reproducing God's legacy all over again. The children, men bringing his children into the world with his helper. That's what marriage is all about. It has nothing to do with romance and all of that stuff and all this fantasy stuff. It's a duty. I want you to. The reason why I talked about this is because a marriage. I talked to you before on how the man, your father has you covered under him. And then so the woman goes from one covering to your covering. You're taking her from her daddy's hand and under your covering. So her bills become your bills because you're taking on her. You're covering her at that point. Okay, so you have no business going out here into the far country trying to find a wife. Your wife comes from the hands of her father. Okay, and she is going to be a wife because the daddy has trained her to be a wife, a man of God. One man of God to another man of God's hands. That's how it goes. So if you go with God's blueprint, a lot of stuff will be taken care of and you wouldn't have to worry about it, okay? So I think that a lot of us really, honestly and truly have to re-examine what this whole thing of marriage is all about. This destination wedding is really not designed for young couples, especially if your mom and daddy's still alive. Okay, so we got to re-examine and we have to think about a lot of stuff now. The last thing you need is to go out there and spend all this money, and then she goes into debt, and you're going to have to pay for all this stuff. Okay, so destination weddings are not for young couples. Period. Okay. Let's see. I'm making sure that I got everything that I told you. When a pastor is counseling, a pastor has to counsel you before you get married in the first place. I usually tell my congregants that if you want me to marry you, and I will, you don't set the date until after I give you after it's okay with me, because there may be a situation or a problem that we have to face that we have to overcome, or it may be a situation where you may find out that you two are not compatible, okay? Or something will come up because anytime the man of God, the preacher, he's stamping his stamp of approval, and he has to make sure that the couple is truly ready for marriage, okay? That they've done everything. Suppose after the father vets you and he says it's okay. Now, if the man's my congregant, that's good. But there may be some things that I'm just going behind him to see if through holy matrimony, if things should be kosher. Okay? You don't set a marriage date, because if you go to me and say, Reverend Hampton, my wife and my fiance and I want to get married June the 15th. I said, okay. What does that mean to me? Because you don't set a date until you go through the counseling with me, and then I'll say, go right ahead and set the date. Because we've already counseled each other. Okay, I've already counseled you. Don't set a date with the pastor before you go through the counseling with the pastor, because there may be a situation that a problem that y'all may run into. Okay, that you may have to take. He has to counsel you through, and your church should have a strong singles ministry. Singles ministries are headed by a husband and wife team, usually a deacon and his wife, and they are coaching women and men about marriage. Okay, because single people want to get married. That's how a church, that if they're not turning out married people, they're not really a good church. We think marriage, church, it's marriage that is the most important thing. So single ministries are catapulting people to get married, period. And you're being taught about what a wife and husband is supposed to do for your duties of a husband and wife. That's what a singles ministry is designed for. Single ministries, a lot of times people think of it in terms of a fun group to get together. Y'all go out to dinner and everything, but the thing about a singles ministry is to prepare couples to getting married, or preparing you what a husband is supposed to be about and what a wife is supposed to be, the duties of a husband and wife. Okay, marriage is a duty and a responsibility. Has absolutely nothing to do with romantic love. Okay, my daughter gave me this thing when she talked about destination weddings and her friends are doing this thing, and I just had to bring that to your attention, that destination weddings are not for young people. For your first marriage, it's not for you bring your family together, especially if your mom and daddy and his mom and dad is still alive. Okay. I want to thank you for allowing me to spend this time with you. And I want to let you know that you are loved. I love you. There ain't nothing you can do about it. I want you to know that I pray that what we have talked about reaches fertile ground and it will grow. And I hope that I said something that will get you to start thinking. And I said something that will make you consider something that you never considered before. It's we're all growing in this thing together, and it's a marriage thing, and I'm talking to and for the men of God. Okay, I love you. I want, until the next time we get together, and when the Holy Spirit gives me another message for you, I will present it then. But I want you to know that you're in my prayers, and I pray that that you continue to grow in the Lord, and know that you are the best thing that's walking the face of the earth is a man of God, and you are the prize. And just remember that you set the tone. You set the tone as a man. Okay. Have a blessed evening. God bless you, and will continue to bless you. And until the next time, this is Reverend Sylvester Hampton saying goodbye and God bless you. Good night. Good night.